America's enemies within are far more dangerous. They're traitors, nothing less. They're guilty of treachery and treason. The entire Harvard situation, their anti-American activities, and of course, Trump's corresponding withdrawal of billions in government funding, contracts, and revocation of foreign student visas. Do you know Harvard takes $2 billion of your tax money every year and pays for those students' tuition? Your tax money, $2 billion. All of that, this battle between the White House and Harvard, just the latest battle in reclaiming America. What it points to is the larger struggle that has been walked away from by even so-called conservative leaders for the past 60 plus years, the struggle Trump is saying, bring it on. Every single major institution in the West, and particularly in the United States, has been penetrated by communism. And yes, that includes Harvard, as well as many other universities and colleges. From the administrations to the faculties, and especially the admissions offices, who select and then admit the future graduates, which is the whole point of the university, and they've been all sufficiently brainwashed. America's education system, because of all of that, looks much more like the hammer and sickle than the stars and stripes. But it's a good question to ask, how? How did all this happen? Well, to stick with Harvard for a moment, it's actually older than the country, Harvard University. So how could this have happened? Well, the answer is slowly. A couple board of directors appointees here, and the department chair there, and an admissions director here, and a professor or two there. And of course, it all begins rather quietly. Almost no one knows who any of these people are, except for a few eggheads sitting there atop the ivory tower. But slowly, and this is the important part, slowly the scales begin to tip, because these people then bring on board more people like themselves. They fill up key departments like history, humanities, philosophy with radical lunatics who, in the name of academic freedom and diversity, there's that word, they begin suggesting nutty notions to those 18 and 19-year-old minds in front of them. And given the stature of the Ivies and other prominent universities like Notre Dame, Stanford, Duke, Northwestern, all of them, those students graduate and then they land important positions in government and commerce, and then they slowly begin to turn those institutions as well. It's a case of planting the seed, watering it, and letting nature take its course. And the course that has been taken is that America is bad. But that point needs further exploring. Why? Well, why would these places assume that position, that America is bad? The answer to that question goes back even further than Harvard. Actually, in the end, like most things, traces right back to the Garden of Eden. Western civilization was built by the Catholic Church. In addition to specific divine revelation, like God is a Trinity, the Church also proclaims natural law, of which natural moral law is a major component, meaning ultimately salvation. America's founding, likewise, is bound up with natural law, just like the Church's teachings are, referenced 4 separate times, in fact, in the preamble of the U.S. Constitution. But sooner or later, natural law brings along with it, it imports the reality of natural moral law, and when that is part and parcel of a nation's self-identity, a specific understanding of salvation and religion and philosophy permeates the nation and its culture. Now, the nation's universities, indeed all the institutions, they used to operate in accordance with that self-identity. So when communism or socialism first raised its ugly head in the mid-19th century, it was explicitly condemned time and again by the Catholic Church, and it was never accepted at the time here in the United States. The popes instantly understood the threat to this life, most importantly, of course, the next life, if communism was to become a leading global force. But, and here's where the roads separate a little bit, Protestant America and all of those major universities were all Protestant at their beginning. They used to actually turn out preachers and theologians. That's what they were really built for. Protestant America got caught sleeping, and the infiltration, again, slow at first, has become the norm. That's why what Trump is doing seems so radical. It's not. It's not really radical at all. America's self-understanding has been twisted for decades, and Trump is trying to untwist it in a very short amount of time. A cancer which was at first slow developing, but now threatens the life of the patient, needs dramatic and immediate treatment, even if it did get to this point slowly. Trump is employing emergency surgery against the enemies within. And frankly, it's needed or the nation dies. And those enemies, they're everywhere, with the media and the universities being perhaps the most overrun. So good for Trump. It is, in fact, the case that many should be deported besides just illegal aliens. America's enemies within are far more dangerous. They're traitors, nothing less. They're guilty of treachery and treason. Coming to you from Houston, Texas, I'm Gary Michael Voris. God love you.